sensational, but this is the way we actually get to the next step.
But see, Gene, I don't think that's the case here, and that's what causes me the biggest concern. Like, Trayvon was cut and dry to me. It wasn't cut and dry to a lot of my Republican friends. It wasn't cut and dry to conservatives who were still attacking me for what I said during Trayvon. What concerns me here is that facts are twisted and they're taken out of place, and it hardens the hearts of people who might be in the middle, who might live in a white community, and might be more willing to start saying the things that I'm saying and that more Republicans need to say, because they look at people say, you know, so many lies were spread early on, and spread on Twitter and spread on Facebook, and it became sort of urban legend. And then we find out later that so much that was said early on that caused the outrage and caused the protests ended up not being true. That's my concern here. So if you use a gesture that's based on a lie, I'm just afraid that doesn't help the conversation. In fact, it coarsens the debate.
Well, the gesture stems from what some witnesses said. And again, if you look at the testimony and you look at the way those witnesses were taken through their testimony as opposed to the way some other witnesses were taken through their testimony, one wonders if, well, I don't actually wonder, but I think that if in a proper adversarial trial situation, I'm not sure we would have...
Gene, do you have the evidence? I mean, let's cut through it. Let's not talk about the niceties of the legal debate. Do you believe that Michael Brown had his arms up, saying, don't shoot? Do you believe that actually happened?
Oh, look, I actually believe that at some point he was clearly advancing toward the officer at the time he was shot. Was he charging the officer like a bull, like a demon, as the officer said? Was he staggering toward him?
Do you believe he had his arms up in the air and said, "Don't shoot"? I think this is a very important question to answer. If this is going to become the new symbol, the new protest symbol of people on the floor of the House and before football games, I think it actually matters whether it's the truth or not.
Well, I don't believe, Joe, there's anything in the record and certainly not in the forensic evidence, that precludes the possibility that he had his hands up at some point when he was approaching the officer. He probably
That's
did not.
That's an awfully low standard. There's also nothing of evidence that doesn't suggest a flying saucer from Venus swooped over all of them. I mean, that's a very low standard.
Well, but there's lots of evidence that there was no flying saucer, but no one would be claiming that he had his hands up.
There's no evidence that it's precluded, though, Chief.
Okay, so this is...
I'm not being difficult here. I'm just saying the truth actually does matter.
I think it's a very uncomfortable question for you, Gene, because I think it's an uncomfortable question for you, because if you say no, there was no evidence his hands were up, you're probably insulting a lot of people. Do you feel uncomfortable with the question?
No, I don't feel uncomfortable with the question at all.
Well, do you think his hands were up from everything you've read?
Because I don't think there is any evidence that his hands were never up. There's no evidence that his hands were never up, and there are people who say that they were. Now, those people may not be talking about the instant when he was shot, because the physical evidence seems to rule that out.
Gene, I'm only smiling because I was just saying this has reached at this point, I think, the end, and I just had Dan in my ear going, "Okay, Joe, I think that's enough." But I think we have played this one out. But I'm sorry, go ahead, John.